What's going on, guys? So, I hope you guys have had a blessed holiday season. It is currently December 30th. So, tomorrow is the last day of 2025, and this video will be up for 2026 during the new year. And I hope you guys really enjoy this because this is a free, complete sales course if you're trying to get into high ticket sales, setting, closing, emotional certainty, logical certainty, the whole 9 yards. It's a whole hour long of material that I wish I had when I was starting a year ago. And, maybe you guys will look back on this and you guys will thank yourselves later, a year from today, that you guys started something that you really were unsure of and it worked out because it genuinely can change your life. It's changed my life. So I'll see you guys at the end of the video, but I put some videos together and put it in a montage for you guys. So I hope you guys enjoy. All right, guys. So what is remote sales? This is probably the question that all of you guys have been asking yourselves, asking other people, and asking me if you don't already know what it is. And this video is going to break it down step by step what it actually is and why business owners need sales reps to sell their products online. Okay, so to understand what remote closing is, what remote sales is, how it works, you need to understand supply and demand. Supply and demand is basically, okay, there's a need, it's a demand. People are always going to need food, right? Because it's a requirement to live. People need food to eat. Okay, but how are people actually going to get the food? The supply. The supply is going to be the farmer planting the crops, the delivery driver transferring the food from the farm to the store, and then also a sales representative or a receptionist at the store to actually sell the food, right? So the supply and the demand of remote closing is okay, there's a business owner who needs their deals to be closed so that they can make money. The problem is that they don't have time to take these calls. So the demand is okay, I need a sales rep to actually take my calls. All right. So how that works is I'm sure you guys have seen there's business owners or influencers on the internet who are posting ads or organic content on social media saying, hey guys, click on my link, purchase my products, get to XYZ results in XYZ amount of time, whatever the industry might be, whether it's fitness coaching, brand scaling, marketing, high ticket jewelry, or even like a drop shipping course, right? All these business owners are selling something different online and they're all high ticket products. High ticket products can essentially range anywhere from $5,000 on the low end to $150,000 on the high end. Obviously, some lower, some higher. It's really just the median range of the price of these products. But essentially, these business owners have thousands, if not millions, of followers on the internet who are trying to buy their products. Okay. So, for example, if someone's wanting to make money online, they're going to see an ad about someone teaching drop shipping, how to have financial freedom on the internet. Someone's going to click on that link, book a call with that business owner so that they can get help to fulfill their need of getting financial freedom. However, that business owner is busy. Business owners are some of the busiest people in the world. They have to run companies, they have to take care of family, wife, husband, kids, do their hobbies, go to the gym, go to church. They have a jam-packed life just like everyone else. And then on top of that, they have thousands of people booking 30 to 60 minute sales calls so that they can buy the products of the business owner. These calls take anywhere from 30 to 60 minutes on average, whether it's on a phone call or on a computer or a laptop for Zoom. These business owners, realistically, they cannot take any more than like 1, 2, even 3 calls per day. And then they have thousands of calls that they still have to get to. So essentially, these business owners are losing a whole lot of money because they can't take all these calls. So that's why they need someone like you or someone like I to come to them and say, hey, look, business owner, I know you're busy. I know you can't take these sales calls and you're losing money because you can't close these deals. Let me actually close your deals for you. All I ask is anywhere from 10 to 20% commission on all the deals that I close for you, and we're good to go. And they have no issue with that because if you were the business owner, would you rather try and take all the calls yourself and lose 99% of the money? Or would you just have a sales rep come into your business and give them 10 to 20% commission and make sure that all the deals close? You'd probably choose the second option any day of the week, right? It's a no-brainer. And so that's why we get paid so well. 10 to 20% commission isn't much, especially since these business owners aren't taking the calls themselves. And so you're printing money for them and they're paying you money. It'd be one thing if these high ticket deals were $100. Cool. You're making 10, 20% of that. That's 10 to 20 bucks an hour. You're making minimum wage, right? But high ticket is the key phrase in our job, why we make so much money. High ticket is very high price items. So if you're selling something on the lower end, let's just say $20,000 product, if you make 10 to 20% commission on that, you just made $2,000 to $4,000 in a 30 to 60-minute sales call. And I'm not saying that you'll be a millionaire tomorrow by doing this. It's not the easiest thing in the world, but it's one of the simplest things in the world because sales is the art of communication. Communicating effectively at a high level to get your point across to someone why they need to buy your product. And that's that. Sales is something that you use every single day, whether it's convincing your fiance to marry you and become your wife, whether it's you have kids and you have to convince them to go to bed at a certain bedtime because they need sleep. Sales is literally just communication, right? If you can't communicate effectively, it's almost trying to speak Chinese to someone who only speaks English. You have to learn how to effectively communicate, not just to operate at a high level in life, but also at a high level in remote closing. So these business owners are more than happy to give a good chunk of the change, a good percentage of these high ticket deals to someone who can actually close the deals, if that makes sense. So, for example, if you go on social media and you see someone like, let's just say Johnny Dang, a lot of people probably know who this is. Johnny Dang is a guy and he does jewelry. Okay. So, for example, like Drake, Travis Scott, all those top rappers, top musicians, whatever that might be, they love jewelry. So Johnny, he's the guy that makes grills. He's the guy that makes chains. He's the guy that makes watches, rings, whatever the heck you want to have iced out, have a lot of jewelry on, make it super expensive. He does it. Okay. So if you want a chain, he's going to sell you a $100,000 chain, for example. Do you think Johnny Dang is taking thousands of sales calls to handle your one request? No, he has thousands of other people that also need their jewelry, right? So what he does is he works on the back end. He actually works on the business while you're taking the sales calls to actually get new deals coming in, new revenue. And so this is basically what it does. It's probably a story on here of him saying, hey guys, purchase my jewelry or marketing his jewelry in some form or fashion. For example, order this set now. Big Pointer Rose Gold Honeymoon, $1,000 deposit. And there's a phone number, right? You can DM or text. You'll probably get on a phone call, try to inquire about his jewelry. Johnny Dang is not the guy who takes those calls because he doesn't have enough time in the day. You're going to be one of the guys or gals that takes these calls. Johnny Dang sells high ticket jewelry. The high ticket items that someone could sell or you could close deals for could be literally anything. So, for example, Jordan Welch. This is a guy who teaches people how to do drop shipping online and have financial freedom, right? There's always going to be a need for people wanting to have money, wanting people to have financial freedom because it's something that is never going to go away. People are always going to need money. You're never going to be operate in the world without money. And so teaching people how to do that is something that he can make a lot of money at, but he can't take all the calls. And so YouTube coaching, right? He has a bunch of stuff on here just talking about, hey, drop shipping, let me teach you, right? People are DMing him. People are booking calls with him, right? And so that's literally what we do. It's super simple in a nutshell. I'll show you another guy, TJR. This guy does day trading. He teaches people how to day trade. Okay. And I mean, you can see if this guy's living in a skyrise, a penthouse with cool cars, with money, people are going to click on it, right? 782,000 people have followed him, and I guarantee you more than that have seen his content and they've wanted to have financial freedom online. He cannot take 782 60-minute sales calls. Like it's just not humanly possible. There's not enough hours in the day. And so I hope you guys are kind of understanding what this looks like. One more example would be Vincent Fisher. I mean, I used to be partnered with a company that we closed deals for him. Okay. And so he teaches people how to do fitness coaching. And whether it's fitness coaching, high ticket jewelry, whether it's brand scaling, this guy named Brez, he's 20 years old. He has 530,000 followers on his Instagram, and he cannot take all these calls. He teaches people how to scale their brands, scale their business. And so that's literally what remote sales is in a nutshell. You literally just take calls, you make commission, whether you're a DM setter, phone setter, or closer, you're going to be getting anywhere from 10 to 20% commission. Okay. So I hope this makes sense. I hope this helped you guys in any type of way to understand the sales process a little bit better. But with that being said, I will see you guys in the next one to explain the sales process. All right, guys. So now that you know what remote sales even is, now it's super important for you guys to know the actual sales process. Because if you guys don't know how to get a lead from cold to warm to hot to bot in the sales process, you are never going to make money with the skill of remote sales. Okay. So essentially, the sales process is just a structured journey of moving a lead from cold to warm to hot to bot. And this system basically allows any business, no matter the niche, to take someone who has never even heard about their offer, their business, what it is they actually do, and turn them into a paying client. Okay. And so for you to understand how to bring a lead from cold to bot, you have to know what a lead is. Okay. Some of you guys might know what this actually is, but if not, a lead is someone who has the potential to become a client and purchase what it is you're selling. This can include people who follow your content, see your ads, or receive outreach from your team. Not all leads are ready to buy right away, which is why we categorize them based on their level of interest and engagement. Okay. So their level of interest and engagement can range from cold to warm to hot to bot. A cold lead is, in a nutshell, someone who has never even heard about what you do. Okay. So if I were to read it off right here, it would be someone who is either unfamiliar with your offer or has shown little to no engagement in what it is you're selling. These leads typically come from cold DMs, ads, or initial outreach, and they require more nurturing and value due to not having any previous connection to your company. Okay. A warm lead is going to be someone who has shown a little bit of interest and engagement in what it is you're selling in the past, and they might already follow your content, respond to some of your DMs, or even ask questions. But at this stage, they're not fully ready to buy, what it is you're selling, but they are aware of what it is you're selling. They just need more information. And the hot lead is where it really gets nice, because a hot lead is someone who is fully aware of what it is you're offering, sees the value, and is open to actually taking action into next steps, whether that be committing time, money, or energy. Typically, we want money because that's how we make money. But they're likely to be qualified before this point, and they understand everything that the actual offer includes. All they need is one final conversation with the closer. And then the bot lead, super simple. They have paid you and got your services because they were interested, right? So that's essentially the 4 tiers of leads. And then there's 3 different roles within the sales process. And so each role, basically to move the lead from cold to warm to hot to bot, many businesses use these 3 roles. Okay. DM setter, phone setter, and closer. And all of these roles play a very important part in the sales process, and I'll explain to you why. So the DM setter typically deals with the cold leads. Okay, so they initiate contact with the cold leads, sometimes warm leads that have reached out to the company that know who it is you are and what you sell. And they've done this through direct message. And their job is basically as a DM setter to build rapport, like build a relationship with the client, spark interest in what it is you're selling, and then ask qualifying questions sometimes to warm up the lead and see if they can actually purchase your product. They typically focus more on like engagement and uncovering the pain points and why they're trying to actually buy what it is you're selling. And they identify buying signals before passing the lead off to the phone setter and making the lead into a warm lead. Okay. The phone setters typically deal with the warm leads. They honestly have a pretty easy job. They only have to have a brief phone call, like a conversation on the phone with the warm leads. Sometimes they're qualified, sometimes they're not. But typically, the phone setter's main job is to qualify, see if they're actually qualified to buy your product. Number 2, edify the closer and make the prospect or the lead super, super excited to hop on the closing call for the final destination, which is actually buying the product. Okay. If the lead actually does meet like the financial requirements and they're actually ready, itching and eager, ready and willing to, close and pay you guys, the phone setter is going to schedule a Zoom call with the closer. The closer deals with the hot leads. Okay. So after the phone setter passes it to the closer, the lead is turned hot. and it's ready to go. They're ready to buy. They're ready to pay you and make you a whole lot of money. So basically, the closer literally just takes the final sales call. Typically, I mean, most of the time it's going to be on Zoom or Google Meet or a video call. Typically, it's not ever on a phone call, but most of the time it's going to be video call face to face. And yeah, they take the final call. So they're basically responsible for understanding their goals, like the lead's goals, where they want to go, their current situation now. And they basically present the offer. The lead can see what it is you're offering for themselves with their own eyes. And then the closer answers questions, handles objections, and then they secure the sale by closing the deal and they turn into bot clients. Okay. So cold to warm to hot to bot, that's the sales process. And basically, summary, the sales process moves leads from cold to bot using this framework, using DM setters, phone setters, and closers. And then obviously creating a whole lot of revenue for the company and profit in everyone's pockets. So if I was to give you a visual representation, which I am, this is going to be what the sales process will actually look like. So you're going to see over here, cold, warm, hot bot, everything you need to know. So the cold lead can either see an ad or a DM setter is going to reach out to them. Okay. There's two ways that the cold lead can really get in contact with the company and find out what it is more about what you do. So if the cold lead sees an ad, they're going to get more information, right? They're going to actually fill out an application to hop on a phone call with a phone setter because they see what it is you're offering. They're interested. Okay. They're warm. All right. And then on the other side, it's going to be, okay, the cold lead reaches out to the Instagram account, or the Instagram account, like let's just say Vincent Fisher selling fitness coaching, reaches out to a cold lead, right? They don't know who Vincent is. They don't know what he sells, but they're most likely going to want to improve their physique and get fitness coaching. After the DM setter contacts them and they have a good conversation, they're interested, passes it to the phone setter. It's a warm lead. Okay. So this is where it gets fun. They basically qualify the leads on the phone call as a phone setter. And then once they're qualified, they're ready, itching in a ear, and the closer has actually been edified. You guys will learn what that is here shortly in the next few videos in the phone setting section. But once the lead has turned into a hot lead, the closer is going to close the deal and everyone's going to make a whole lot of money. So I hope this makes good sense to you guys. If not, let me know if you have any questions. But this is the sales process in a nutshell. Okay, just remember cold to warm to hot to bot. If you can get a client from cold to bot, you're going to make a whole lot of money. But with that being said, guys, I will see you guys in the next one and see you there. The doctor's frame is how you should approach every single sales call that you take. I don't care if you're a setter or a closer or whatever kind of salesperson you are, you need to use the doctor's frame. And this helps me have a better understanding of my role as a salesperson when I was first getting into my sales career. And here's an example. You go to the doctor because you have a mild cold, right? You have a little headache, you have a little bit of a stomach bug, and you're running a light fever. Cool, right? You sit down in the doctor's office and the doctor comes in the room, and before you even say a word, before you tell him how you've been feeling so he can prescribe you, he just automatically pre-prescribes you. He says, oh, I know the answer to your problem. You need both your legs amputated. We need to cut both of them off so that you'll be okay. You're going to look at him like, what the heck, man? Like, you're crazy. But the reason why is because he didn't ask you any questions. He just diagnosed you right then and there. And whenever you go to the doctor, realistically, what happens is they ask you, hey, how have you been feeling? What does your poop look like? Have you been having a hurt stomach? What's your diet looked like this week? They're going to ask you questions, trying to figure out what your problems are, what your symptoms are, and if what they can give you, what they can prescribe you as a solution will actually even be a good fit in the first place. And as a salesperson, you do not want to hop on your sales calls pretending like you're going to have the perfect one fit cookie cutter fix to every single person's problem. Because realistically, what you're selling is not going to solve everybody's problems. A fitness coaching offer is not going to help someone if they're already in shape. If someone already has financial freedom, getting into a day trading program is not going to help them. It's not going to be a good fit. And prospects are able to sense that. Prospects are able to sense if you're money hungry, if you just want to make a sale. And you're doing people a disservice if you sell them the wrong thing. And you're doing people a disservice if they need the product and you're not diagnosing them correctly. So you need to become as best a doctor as you physically can. Ask people questions, see if it's even a good fit in the first place, and genuinely look to help people. Don't get into this because you're money hungry. Get into these sales calls and genuinely care for people and do them a service. and you will make money as a byproduct. But I'll tell you this, if you get money hungry and you don't act like a doctor and you try to diagnose every single person with your specific prescription, which is the offer that you're selling, you're not going to be successful in sales. So this right here is the Evolve sales formula. I'll tell you this, the last thing you want to do when you are getting into sales or when you're trying to scale your income through sales is thinking that sales is an intuition-driven activity, meaning that you go with the flow. You do whatever you think. You don't have a process. You don't have a structure. You don't have a framework that you follow, because sales is a process-driven activity. If you can follow a process that you know works, that you understand has made people multiple 5 figures before, which it has. This is the same process that I used to make multiple 5 figures in my pocket every single month. If you can follow a process rather than intuition in sales, you are going to make so much more money. It's not only going to be a proven process that has made other people money, but it's also going to be trackable. You're going to be able to track your data. You're also going to be able to understand, hey, I can improve on this part of my sales process so I can make more money. You don't need to reinvent the wheel when it comes to sales. Sales has always been a thing. It's been a thing since before Jesus times, BC, before Christ. Sales is something that cavemen used when they were trading and bartering, when they were trading twigs for berries, when pirates were trading silver for gold. Sales is something that is literally just a skill of communication, and it has been developed over the years, over decades, over centuries, and now people understand how to do it at efficient levels. Like I said, you don't have to try and reinvent the wheel. Just follow a structure and a process that already works. So in the Evolve sales formula, there are 4 stages to this process. So the first stage in this process is the intro phase. This is the first point of contact when you get in contact with the lead, whether it is from a DM setter or a phone setter typically. The next phase of this process is logical certainty. You want to make sure the prospect is logically certain that what they want to do is proceed with this process and move on to the next step, which is emotional certainty. Emotional certainty is how people actually make decisions. They rationalize their choices in terms of getting closed in this case. And then the stable datum phase is more or less objection handling. And we'll get into all of these stages and what they mean here in the next couple of videos. The first phase within the Evolve sales formula is intro phase. Intro phase is arguably one of the most important phases within this whole sales process, just due to the fact that this is your first impression with the prospect, your first interaction with the prospect. First impressions are obviously important because if you go out on a date, whether it's with a girl or a guy, I don't judge, but if you don't make a good first impression, then you're probably not going to go out on a second date and a third date. You're definitely not going to marry the person. So you definitely want to have a good first impression with this prospect. There's 3 steps in this phase. Number 1 being warm welcome, aka building ARC. I'll explain what that is here shortly. The second step is setting the intentions. This is super important because you want to make sure the prospect understands what this whole call is about, what your interaction is going to be in the first place. If you go on a date and the date doesn't know where you're taking them, heck, you might as well just be kidnapping them because they have no clue. With that being said, it's the same with this sales call. You want to make sure they understand what the whole process of this call is going to be. Lastly is the upfront commitment. You want to make sure the prospect gives you an upfront commitment, making sure that they are willing to have a conversation with you. And also you want to give them a bold claim. Like I said, I'll explain what all these mean here shortly. Number 1, the warm welcome, building ARC. ARC is affinity reality communication. This isn't just pertaining to sales, but this is how people communicate in general, regardless of what situation it is. So affinity is building rapport, building connection with people. Once you build a connection with someone, their guard drops. And obviously in sales, it's a whole lot easier to have a conversation with someone and sell them on something if their guard is dropped and if they trust you. The second word, which is reality, this is building reality, making sure the person understands, look, this is a real person that's calling me. This is a real opportunity. It's not a scam. It's not fake. This is real. The last part is communication. Communication is having back and forth conversation with people. If it's a one-sided conversation, that's not communication. Because think about it this way. If someone's playing tennis and there's not another person on the other side of the court, you're not playing tennis. You're just hitting the ball across a court for nothing. And if we apply this to everyday communication, let's just say there's a husband and a wife, and the husband goes out for work, but before he does that, the wife tells him, hey, honey, go pick up the kids from daycare before you get home from work. If the man just walks out the house, heck, the wife doesn't know that he heard her. He might as well just go to work, come back home, and the wife be pissed at him because the kids didn't get picked up. Real communication is the husband going out the door and the wife asking him to have the kids picked up from daycare, and the husband actually saying, oh yeah, honey, I will go pick up the kids from daycare. Yes, I gotcha. I'll go do it. That's how you know that you're in communication with someone, if they're interacting with you, giving you the same energy that you're giving them. Now, when it comes to the setting and the closing call, it is going to be a little bit different. Within the setting call, you want to have more pattern interrupts, meaning you want to be a little bit more flashy. You want to say a little bit more things that are going to catch someone off guard. It builds affinity, reality, and communication. Within a closing call, you're already going to have trust built up so you can be more normal. Now, when it comes to setting the intentions within the call, it's very simple. All that's going to go down on the setting call and the closing call is talking to the prospect about where they're at now, where they want to go, and next steps. That can be applied to the setting and the closing call. Very simple step. Lastly is going to be the upfront commitment and the bold claim. You want to give someone a bold claim to where it's like, man, there's no reason why I shouldn't commit to having a conversation with you. And the way that we do this is by stating an if I could, would you statement. So for example, if you're selling a BizOp offer or you're selling a financial product, helping someone scale their income financially, what you could say is, hey, look, man, and before we get into this whole call, if I could actually show you a real way to make multiple six figures online from anywhere in the world, is that even something that you would be open to looking into? Perfect. You just got it done. You give them a bold claim, and obviously they're going to say yes and commit to having a conversation with you because that's interesting to them. That's the intro phase. It applies to setting and closing. Logical certainty is the second stage in the Evolve sales formula. Logical certainty takes place during the appointment setting call within the sales process, not the closing call. And the reason why is this: people make decisions based off of logic, but they justify those decisions based off emotion. And on a setting call, you're not trying to make someone emotionally justify spending 10 grand for XYZ product or program for XYZ results. You're trying to get someone to make the general logical decision to commit towards their goals, not take the action to commit, but take the decision and move forward onto a closing call so they can actually take the action to change their situation. So there are 4 pillars in the logical certainty stage: discovery, demo, test, close, and close. I'll go through those now with you guys so you guys have a better understanding on how this whole thing works and what this logical certainty thing is all about. So in the discovery section, you want to figure out what this person's current state is, what this person's goals are, and if they're even financially qualified to purchase this product, right? So you want to figure out, is this actually a good fit for this person's problems? Can we help them get the solution they're looking for? And then also you want to make sure that they're qualified on your end, make sure it's a good fit that they can actually pay you guys. Because if they can't pay you guys, you're wasting your time on an appointment setting call. Your closer is wasting his time or her time on a closing call. And it's just a waste of time. No one makes money and no one's happy. The person's problem doesn't get solved either. So it's a lose-lose in everyone's eyes. And within this, you want to get the senior data, okay? In the discovery, you want to figure out, okay, look, why is this person here? What are they looking for? How long have they been looking for it? And what struggles have they been going through? That's how you figure out their current state and their goals, right? Then you want to go through financial qualification, understanding, hey, what are your savings? What's your income right now? And also, do you have any credit? Those are the 3 ways that you can figure out what someone's financial situation is so that you can actually figure out how they're going to pay you. And if they're unqualified, oh well, get them off the appointment setting call onto the next. It wasn't a good fit. Like I said, this is a doctor's frame. If this person is there and they can provide you value and you can also provide them value, then it's a good fit. If not, it is all good. There's other people with money who are a better fit anyway. The second stage within the logical certainty is the demo. You want these prospects to fully understand what they're actually getting into, what this product is that they're going to be purchasing. Okay. So for example, if they are trying to purchase a fitness coaching program because they're overweight and they want to lose 100 pounds by the end of the year, you need to make that clear to the prospect, okay? And the reason why this is so important is because if this person doesn't have a clear understanding of what it is they're buying or what is they're getting into, they're not going to have the logical certainty to move forward and commit to their goals because they're unclear on what their goals are and how they can actually get there. You want to make that clear to them. Logical certainty is literally just making the path clear for somebody, making it make sense in their head, and then they can rationalize later on the closing call and spend a whole lot of money. The test close is the next stage, and this is arguably by far the most important part. Okay, the reason why is because this is how you get someone to logically determine whether or not they're going to move forward with something like this. So the 2 steps within the test close stage is financial lockdown and edification. The financial lockdown is the most important part by far, and then edification comes after that. So the financial lockdown basically is making sure that this prospect has a full understanding there's an investment to this call. When they hop on the call with the closer, they are putting money down. This costs money. This is not free, because if they hop on a closing call and people are completely unaware to the fact that there's an investment on this next call, they are not ever going to buy from you guys, and you're not going to make money. The prospect's going to be upset because they thought they were getting something for free, and you're upset because you thought you were going to get paid. It doesn't work out like that. Then after you make sure that they understand that there's an investment to it, you want to make sure that they're fully ready, willing, itching, and eager to invest into something like this, regardless of the price, because they see the value in what you can offer them and how you can help them change their life, whatever product they're buying. That is the financial lockdown. Then edification is a term basically meaning that you're putting someone on a pedestal. In this case, you're putting the closer on a pedestal. So before you put this person on a call with a closer, before you book the appointment, you want to make sure that the prospect that is hopping on this call with a closer knows and understands that the closer that they are hopping on with is not only a cool person, but they're an expert. They have the authority. Edification means that you're putting someone on a pedestal over someone else. else, the prospect needs to look up to the closer. They need to have respect for the closer, because if they don't, they're never going to close. So edify your closer, make sure that the prospect understands their authority on the call and that they're going to actually listen to them and take this call serious. And then all you have to do is set the appointment, because the logical certainty has already been set in. This person understands that there's an investment. They understand what the price is. And then the last part of the logical certainty stage is just the close. And obviously you're not closing the deal, you're setting the appointment. Set the appointment, lock it down, because if you get to this point in the call, the logical certainty has already been set in. You've already done your job within this stage of the sales process. The prospect knows that it's an investment. It's a good fit, not only for the prospect, but also for you guys, because they can pay you guys. It's going to be good. You just got to make sure that this person shows up to the call, and then you're good. Then you just got to make sure that this prospect shows up to the closing call. And if you do all those parts correctly within logical certainty as an appointment setter, you will make a whole lot of money. Emotional certainty is the third phase within the evolved sales process. This is where the sale is made. And this isn't really a phase where appointment setters are going to be dipping their toes in the water. This is more so a phase where closers take the reins. This is where the closer gets the deal and doesn't just allow the prospect to make a decision to make a change, but they actually make the prospect take the action so they can make the change. This is where everything happens. This is where the needle is moved forward and you guys start to make money. Because like I said, people make decisions based off of logic and they justify those decisions based off of emotion. So the bigger the gap from where a prospect is, aka their current state, and where a prospect wants to go, aka their desired state, the more pain that there's going to be when making this decision for the prospect. And the more pain, the more action someone is willing to take. The more willing someone is to do anything and everything to make a change. At the end of the day, if you did this stage properly, what's going to happen is the pain of a prospect making a change, aka buying your guys' program, whether it's 5K, 10K, 20K, is going to be less pain than the pain of them staying in their exact same position, living in their same reality. So the most important questions that you can be asking within the emotional certainty phase of the evolved sales process is this: consequence questions. Consequence questions basically make a prospect understand if nothing changes, nothing changes. What happens if you don't change the situation? What happens if you keep going down the same path? What happens another 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years from now if you don't have XYZ goals? And it keeps people accountable. It makes people realize that they have to take action if they want different results. It's as simple as that. And we're going to go more in depth in terms of what this means and how you can dig deeper into a prospect's pains so you can pull more action out of them. And I'll go over that with you guys in the closing script. But that's essentially the idea behind emotional certainty. Phase 4 and the final phase within the evolved sales formula is stable datum, aka objection handling. Before we go deeper into this, you first need to understand what a stable datum is in the first place. And a stable datum is basically just like someone's core belief or an anchor idea that a person holds on to when things in their life might feel confusing, overwhelming, uncertain, etc. It gives people's brain a sense of clarity or control and emotional safety, even if the belief isn't even true or helpful to any extent. And, that's a stable datum, but we need to understand how we can use this to close more deals and break limiting beliefs to objection handle. So in psychology and sales, it's basically the one thought that they return to, aka the prospect, that justifies why they need to stay where they are so that they can avoid risk, they can stay comfortable, and they don't make a change. So someone might give you an objection because, they're uncomfortable to make a change, and they'll say something like this: I just need to wait, or I just don't have time, or I need to think about it, or I can figure it all out on my own. If you are able to remove or replace that stable datum with a stronger and more realistic belief that actually helps someone move forward, then you can help break their limiting beliefs and they're going to make a change and invest into whatever you're trying to sell them. So to give you guys a visual representation of what this actually looks like, it's this. A stable datum is the central core belief that someone has that all of their other subsets of beliefs branch off of. So for example, if somebody is a Christian or a Muslim or a Buddhist, they are a religious person, their stable datum is basically going to be rooted in the fact that their religion is true. And their thoughts and ideas and beliefs that branch off of that are going to be something like this: I need to be modest in life. I need to be honest in life. I don't need to be a liar. I need to be generous to people. I need to give to the homeless. So you can see where the subsets of belief come from. They come from the stable datum. They come from the original belief. The way that we're able to break these limiting beliefs and objection handle someone to the point where they are willing to make a change is you have to attack the stable datum. But we can't attack someone's stable datum and break that limiting belief if we can't first identify what that stable datum is rooted in. And there's 6 different kinds of stable datums, okay? And these are all the examples. So there are 6 human needs in life. Every human needs certain needs to be met in order to have a fulfilling and enjoyable life. And here's what these 6 human needs are: certainty, uncertainty, significance, loving connection, growth, and contribution. So to give you guys a tangible example of how these 6 human needs tie into someone's stable datum, the example that I gave earlier of someone being religious and somebody believing that their religion is true is an example of contribution. The reason why is because they are looking to live their life with a meaning bigger than themselves, aka a god, or whatever religion that you follow. Another example of someone's stable datum being contribution is if you hop on a sales call with an older prospect, maybe they're 50 or 60 years old. Probably they have a lot more money than most people. They're already maybe financially free. And if you're selling a biz op offer, then they're going to want to make more money. But that reason in that stable datum for them making more money isn't the fact that they want growth. They don't want significance. They already have those things. They don't want that being fulfilled. They want their contribution need being filled because they want to give to something bigger. They want to donate to a charity. They want to tithe to their church. So that's why it's so important to understand what stable datum it is that you're handling, because if you don't handle the correct one and don't understand what this person is actually trying to do with the product that you're selling them, then you're never going to hit the nail on the head and actually make sales. I'll go ahead and explain all these other human needs as well. Certainty is understanding and knowing that you're going to be okay over a week, month, year span of time. If you have too much certainty though, then it can be a bad thing, because if you go to jail and you got a life sentence, you know that for the rest of your life, you're going to be stuck in that jail cell and your every single day is going to be the same. Too much certainty is a bad thing, but too much of any human need is a bad thing as well. Same thing with uncertainty. Uncertainty can be great because a lot of people that have too much certainty, they might work a 9 to 5 and they might be understanding that they make the same amount of money for the next 40 years and they have to be in a cubicle. Someone might want to get out of that and be uncertain. They might want to have a little bit of an adventure, because if every day looks the same, then it's not going to be fun. Variety, uncertainty, those fall under the same category. But then on the other hand, if you have too much uncertainty, if you don't know if you're going to wake up the next day, then that's not a good thing. And then if we go into significance, significance is basically feeling that you are important, whether it's to yourself, whether it's to other people, but a feeling of significance, a feeling that you matter. But like I said earlier, too much of one singular human need can be overwhelming, because if your life is just me, 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 then you're not going to have a good quality of a life. You're going to be a pretty selfish person. Then we go into love and connection. Obviously, it's good to have relationships, whether it's friendships, family, or romantic, aka love. But the downfall of that human need is that if you make your life about everyone else and not yourself, then you're not going to have a good quality life. And then the last one, growth. This is always wanting to improve, because if you're not growing, you're dying. People want to have a sense of something to strive for. The journey, rather than just the destination, is more important for a lot of these people that value growth more. And so what people do is they put two of these human needs above all of the others. And these two human needs that these prospects are putting on a pedestal rather than all the other ones, that is going to be their stable datum. And you need to attack those. If as a sales rep, you're able to attack someone's stable datum and then also identify which stable datum this person has on the sales call, you will be one of the best salesmen or woman in the world, because like we talked about earlier on in this program, you are a doctor as a salesperson. You are diagnosing someone with a problem and you're giving them the correct prescription to solve that problem. If you're able to do that, you will do your job properly and you're going to make so much money, not just helping yourself, but you're also going to do a service to all your prospects that you help along the way. Okay, so when it comes to the appointment setting script in the Evolve sales process, obviously scripts are great, but keep this one thing in mind. This is the most important thing about the scripts. Scripts are great, but they are literally just to help you have guardrails. It's like when you're bowling, you need some guardrails when you start, but once you start to, actually get good at bowling, you got to take the guardrails down. One of the worst things that you can have happen is to be fully reliant on scripts for your whole sales career. It held me back in sales. And if I didn't have to rely on my script for so long in my sales career, I would be so much farther, because I would understand sales at a higher level, but I'd also be able to not have to be focused on a script rather than being focused on the conversation I was having with prospects. When you're focused on a script, it takes your focus away from what's actually important, obviously having a conversation with somebody. But if you're able to have a conversation with somebody because you have your script memorized, then you're actually able to be more present. You're actually able to pick up on things that you wouldn't have initially if you were focused on your script. So that's why I don't want you guys to be fully reliant on a script. Remember this script. What I used to do is I used to write it down in the morning, write it down at night, 5 times in the morning, 5 times at night, so that I could actually memorize what it is I was trying to say. And once you do that, you'll have it memorized, you'll have it understood, but not just what to say, not just the questions, not just how to say the questions in different ways, but you're actually going to understand why you're saying the things that you're saying throughout the script. And it gives you a better idea of sales and understanding it at a higher level. So with that being said, we'll kind of get into this setting script. And this is going to be industry fluid. So it's not just for like biz op, it's not just for fitness. But in this case, I will use fitness just because that's pretty generic and everybody understands fitness. So when you hop in the intro, obviously, we talked about earlier in the first phase, the intro phase, you want to go through the intro. This is more so like put into play, put into an actual script. So you call someone up on the setting call, first point in contact. Hey, what's going on, brother? How are you? Obviously, you can do it that way. But what I like to do is I like to be a little bit more, you know, not generic, but more so unique. So if I'm on a call, I'm going to have a lot of pattern interrupts, especially as a phone setter, especially in the intro as a phone setter, because this person has never heard of you before. Obviously, first intentions, first impressions, you want to stand out. You don't want to be like everybody else. Everybody else that took the girl on a date before you, they were normal. Obviously, be cool, but be different. So in this example, if I'm calling someone up as a setter, I'm gonna be like, "Happy freaking Friday, John. How you doing, brother? You remember me?" And then you go into it. Awesome. Looks like you filled out a XYZ application about getting a free diet plan from XYZ Entrepreneur. Is that right? Cool. They have a better idea of who you are. And then you're going to go into setting your intentions. It's like, yeah, man. So, super simple part of this call. All we're going to go over is where you are now, where you want to go in terms of your fitness goals. And if we can help you get to those fitness goals, we're going to talk about next steps, get you on an appointment with one of our consultants. And, with that being said, have you ever talked to like a high level fitness consultant before? No? Okay, awesome. Well, that's what we're going to do. If, I can actually show you a real way to get from point A to point B in your, fitness journey, then would that consultation call maybe be something you're even interested in? Intro is completed. Super simple. Then we go into the discovery. Discovery, the whole purpose of this is to get the senior data. Senior data is the important information that you need to understand within a sales call. We got to figure out what this person's pain points are, how long they've been struggling with it, etc. Right. So I usually do like a 4 question process. Number one, why? Why is this person reaching out in the first place? Number two, what the heck are they looking for? Number three, how long has this been an issue? And lastly, what's been the thing holding them back from achieving XYZ goals? Right? Going deeper into those problems. So, first part would be, yeah, man. So, like, why did you actually reach out to XYZ influencer in the first place or XYZ company in the first place? I'm assuming is something aligned with, fitness goals. And then they're going to talk about their fitness goals. I want to lose 100 pounds by, the end of the year. New year, new me, right? I'm trying to become a better version of myself. Then you're going to be like, okay, awesome. What specifically maybe has you, looking into that? What about your current situation? What about, XYZ that happened to you? Whatever. And then that's going to be like, yeah, man. So I'm looking to make that change in terms of my fitness. I'm trying to improve myself. But the thing that maybe has bring this about is because I've just been feeling insecure. I've been feeling insecure in my body. I've been feeling insecure in my dating life, etc. Yeah, man. So how long has this been an issue for you? Oh yeah, 2 years. Cool. What's been the biggest thing holding you back from achieving this goal? Right. And obviously you don't want to ask it with the tonality of, flatness. It's like, what's been the biggest thing holding you back from your goals? And I was like, oh, dang, man. Are you serious? Is that really what's been going on? Oh, dude, I hate to hear that. I used to struggle with that myself. But I mean, realistically, like 2, 3 years, that's a pretty long time, man. Like, what's been the biggest thing actually holding you back from achieving those goals? Like, be curious, have a tonality. And, if I'm trying to be curious, have a curious tone within my sales call. If you really want to have a good tonality and you struggle with it, squint your eyes and lean in. Squint your eyes and lean in. And I promise you, you are going to automatically just have a question tone, like a curious tone. And then obviously you're going to go into the financial fact find. These people need to be financially qualified for these calls. Okay. You don't want to put someone on a closing call if they are not financially qualified. So what'll happen is you'll go into this, and rather than just saying something like this, right? hey, by the way, this isn't free. Like, I know this is a good fit, and I want to get you on a call with XYZ closer, XYZ consultant, but this is not free. Are you aware of that? I was not aware of that. Okay, awesome. Well, like, what do you actually have set aside to invest? That is going to be out of the blue. You do not want to do that. You want to have finesse, right? If someone's getting a random phone call from somebody and they're just asking their financial information, how much you want to invest, how much you have saved, what's your credit score, how much do you have to invest, no one is going to open up like that. That guard is still going to be there. So you want to provide value first, and then they're going to provide you value back. That's how it works. It's a law of exchange. And so what I typically do is, if it's a fitness offer, you can, subtly say something like this. It's like, yeah, brother. So obviously, you have the goal of, you know, losing 100 pounds in, the next year, which is great. Over the last year, how much did you lose? How far were you from your goal? Whatever. Oh, gotcha. I was halfway there. Okay, gotcha, brother. Well, dude, one thing that I do know is that people, whenever they do actually make a change in their fitness, all of the other aspects of their lives change as well. They basically ascend as a person. They get to a newer level, higher height. And so, a lot of the people that get into this, they see a big difference in like their finances as well. So, in terms of like the next year, where do you want to be in terms of finances? How much would you like to have saved up? Oh, 100K. Okay. And like, I guess how far are you from that now? Oh, halfway there, whatever. That's a subtle way. It is different in BizOp, right? Right. So like it's a financial product. What you're gonna want to say is like, yeah, man. So obviously there's multiple parts of financial freedom. And there's increasing your income, obviously, right? But like that's not the main spiel, right? Because I know a ton of people that make over 100K a year, and dude, they blow it all, right? I know people that make 100K a month and they blow 99% of it. That's not financial freedom. They're still living paycheck to paycheck, just at a higher level, right? So there's two other things: OPM and a FIN number. You know what those are? No, I don't. And you're providing the value, right? So OPM, other people's money. Other people's money. It's not stealing. This is basically leveraging the bank to your best ability, right? So, for example, Elon Musk, he bought Twitter for $43 billion, richest man in the world. You think he took $43 billion cash out of his bank account to do that? Of course not. What he did was he leveraged his trust with the bank and he used other people's money. Because if I give you 25K right now and you put it in your bank account, you try to deposit it the next day, you wouldn't be able to take it all out because the bank gave that money to someone else, for example. And then, you provide more value, whatever. The more trust you have with the bank, the more money they'll give you, the more OPM they'll give you. So, for example, have you established any credit? Because I know you did say that you wanted to buy an apartment earlier. This is going to help for you to understand this. Oh, I have an 800 credit score. Okay, cool. How long you been building that for? Right. Go multiple doors deep. Get a better understanding. Oh, sick man. What kind of cards do you have? What kind of cards did you build your credit with? I had an Amex. Okay, cool. What's the spending limit on that? Obviously, this is going to help with the apartment, right? You're just providing more value. And then, with that being said, then you're going to go into a FIN number. So, a FIN number is a financial independence number. Basically, it's the amount of money someone would like to have saved up in the bank at one specific time to feel like they're financially free. Then you can talk about, so for you, what's your FIN number? How much do you want to have saved up in the next 12 months to feel like you're financially free? Oh, 100K. Okay, cool. And it obviously helps to understand how far you are from that, just to figure out our starting point. How far are you? Oh, yeah, I'm halfway. Cool. You just figured out they have 50K savings. Also, go multiple orders deep as well. Figure out, hey, like, is that money like in a shoebox under the bed in cash? Or is that in investments? Is that liquid? Is that accessible? Right. So you're going to go multiple orders deep with that. The demo, just explain what the offer is. Right. So in this case, it'd be fitness. Yeah, so we're gonna give you a diet plan, we're gonna give you XYZ training, all that stuff. That's industry specific. Then you want to basically do test close. Test close is making sure someone's actually committed, right? So you're gonna want to talk about, yeah, obviously like we want to only take on people that are serious, blah 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 blah. how serious would you say you're about your goals on a scale of 1 to 10? Well, I'm a 10, fully committed. Even if that required like finances as well, are you willing to do anything and everything to get to that goal? Yes. Cool. There's different ways to do that as well. You can change it up with BizOff. BizOff is definitely different just because it is dealing with like financial products. But then you go into edification. Edification is a step that a lot of people miss. This is where you basically just put your closer on a pedestal and you hype them up. You make the closer seem like the authority. You make the closer, cooler than he almost is in a way, right? Because you want the person to respect the closer when they hop on the call. Because I don't listen to people that I respect. I don't listen to people that I don't respect. And so, with that being said, if this person is going to hop on the call, the prospect is going to hop on the call with a closer and they don't respect the closer, they're not going to spend 5, 10, 15K, right? They need to look up to this person. So make them seem like the authority in the space, whatever it is, whether it's financial, whether it's fitness, etc. Then just set the appointment, right? So fireman, on a scale of 1 to 10, how serious are you about, succeeding in this space or, achieving XYZ fitness goals over the next year? Okay, cool. I'm going to check my closer's availability on his calendar. Just give me a second. And what you want to do here is make it seem scarce. Make there be urgency and scarcity. This is how you get people to actually show up to the call, because you can book 1,000 appointments in a day, but if none of them show, then you're a horrible appointment setter, right? Because you had 0 successful appointments that actually showed. That's the difference. So make there be some scarcity. And then after that, what you're going to want to do is just book the appointment. Book the appointment, lock it down. Okay, great. And we've got the call booked for 4 p.m. Eastern time on Tuesday. With that being said, like even if a zombie apocalypse happened, would there be anything getting in your way of attending this meeting? They say no. Okay, cool. And then you just shoot them over a resource. You shoot them over some tools. You shoot them over their phone number. Maybe add them in a group chat with the closer, and then you're good. That's basically the whole process in terms of setting. Super simple. Now, in terms of the closing script in the Evolve sales process, if you're a setter, just skip this video because this is probably going to confuse you just a little bit in terms of the emotional certainty, just because it's going to be a little bit more deeper dive in terms of building pain, increasing the gap from where the person is now, current state, to where the person wants to go, desired state. But yeah, intro is going to be pretty freaking similar to the setting call. In this script, the only difference is the fact that there's going to be less rapport building and there is going to be quicker to the point, and we're not really going to use pattern interrupts because there's some familiarity. You have authority on this call since you have been edified by the setter. So in this case, yo, John, can you see me? Can you hear me? Awesome. So XYZ told me about some good things about you. And yeah, was the setter kind, courteous, and respectful to you? Was it, you can be serious to me. You don't have to act. You just be honest. Just build a little bit of rapport, but nothing crazy past that. Then talk about intentions. Cool. Super simple call today. We're gonna talk about where you are now, where you want to go. If this gets fit, then we're gonna talk about next steps. Super simple. With that being said, are you aware that there's an investment to this? This is optional. Okay. So realistically, you can say this if you want. You don't have to. But yeah, it's definitely something that you can say. Some people like to say it, some people don't. Some people say the investment, like, in this phase, in the emotional certainty phase, that's a little bit more advanced. You can do that if you want. For the most part, you guys are going to be just saying it at the end. Right before or after your pitch. So then after the intro, we're going to go into it. Emotional certainty. This is bridging the gap, okay? Where they are now, where they want to go. Increase that. Just take it apart and smash down into it. This is where we build pain, okay? So, they're going to talk about their goals, whatever. And then what's going to happen is you're going to ask, okay, how long has this been an issue for you realistically? right? You're going to dig a little bit deeper, talk about, okay, in regards to that, before me and you were even speaking, like, were you looking for other ways to achieve XYZ, fitness goals, XYZ financial goals, XYZ dating goals? Is this the first thing? Have you tried other things in the past? They're going to say, yeah, well, I tried this and this. Okay, well, like, what prevented you in the past from having, success, right? And you're going to talk about what has shifted for you that made you, switch from those things to, something like this. Or why didn't you just give up? Because, most people would have given up at that point, right? You're testing them, right? You're really getting them to think pretty deeply in terms of like their thought processes. These are questions that people usually are not asked, right? This is a very deep call. Then you're going to just talk about, right here. Okay. And so just to have a better, point of view, besides, you actually, telling me all that stuff that you've, tried to do, you haven't achieved it. What's the reason at even looking at, a more advanced way of achieving XYZ goals rather than just, you know, doubling down on what you're already doing? The point of this question is less so about this question specifically. It's more so about the purpose of it. So in this example, we're talking about fitness. So in instance, you could talk about, hey, this is something that you might want to do in the future. This is something you might want to do to actually achieve your goals, right? We can go do that. Why are they looking for it? Rather than just doing what they already did, what they've already done, what they've always done. The reason why you're doing this is to pre-handle objections. Okay, you're preventing objections from happening in the first place. Because one of the biggest objections that you get is, you know, oh, I'll just do what I'm already doing. I don't need a fitness trainer for this offer specifically. So, what we're going to do is we're going to look at the most common objection that we get on our actual sales calls, whatever your offer is. If you're already in sales, this is for those of you who are already in sales. It'll make more sense for you guys. But yeah, look at the objection that you get the most, and then, dude, just come on here and implement all of the things that you need, and then you're good. Just replace that. It's a little bit more advanced. And I am a little bit tired right now just because it's been a long day, taking calls and whatnot. So I'm a little bit low energy, but I hope you guys understand this. And then, we're going to go back into the details of like, their goals in terms of, okay, look, let's just say there was a way to achieve XYZ goals. What would actually be different about your life? Right? You're going to ask that. Use tonality though. Sound curious. And as soon as they say that, you're going to get 2 to 3 tangibles, aka specifics about what would be different about their life. What you want to do is you want to be very, very specific about this, right? Don't just get them to say, oh, yeah, man, I'd have a better quality of life. I would feel better, look better in terms of the fitness coaching offer. You want them to be like very, very specific, like visual. You want to be able to see it as if it's a picture. Well, I know you'd be more confident, man, but like, what does that actually look like? Does that look like you being on a beach and, having girls walk up to you, give them your phone number? They may be very, very specific so people can actually see it. Because when some people actually have something tangible to link an idea or a feeling to, it makes it more effective. And then, once you actually, achieve that goal, step in those shoes for a second. What did that do for you personally, though? But use it in the tonality of like, what would that do for you personally, though? You're linking that imagery, that picture of what they told you, that tangible, that specific, to a feeling. Okay. And so this is all going into desired state. And what you're going to do, you're going to rip this away from them, make desired state as far as possible from where they are now. Then you go into the pain. Okay. And obviously we're not there yet. Okay. Let's step back into reality for a second. Do you not feel the way that you just told me about? Like, do you not feel that way in the current situation you're in now? And then that's going to get them to feel like, I mean, yeah, no, I'm not. But then we're going to dig even deeper. Okay. I don't know if you guys have ever hunted before, but there's a lot of people that hunt since I'm living in the South. And when a lot of people go hunt, they find the soft spot whenever they kill an animal. And what they do is they get a knife and they stab into the soft spot. But what you guys want to do, you want to stab it in the soft spot or the pain, and you want to twist that knife, make them feel it. Not in any weird way, but like make the prospect feel the pain. This is how you're going to get deals closed because the pain of staying the same needs to be way bigger than the pain of making a change and investing XYZ, whatever. Okay. So obviously you're not there yet. Okay. But on the flip side, what happens if you don't make that change and you don't get to where you want to go? Like actually what happens if we continue to go down the current trajectory we're on now? For another 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years. And then you want to get more specific, right? Two tangibles, two specifics. I wouldn't have those beach babes walking up to me, giving me their numbers, all that stuff, XYZ. And, how would you feel at that point? Like, how would that actually make you feel getting to that point? And then, this might sound kind of obvious, but like, are you willing to settle for that? Is that a life you actually want to live? No, obviously not. And so why now? Why make a change now? And you can see where the gap got torn apart. You made them feel how it feels to be where they want to be, but then you grab it and you rip it away from them. Makes them want to make a change. And then you build urgency to make that change. And why now? There's always a guy that says, new year, new me. There's always a guy that'll say, I'll start a diet on a Monday. But why actually draw that line in the sand and start today? Like, why do that now? Because you haven't in the past, brother. Urgency. And what happens is you go ahead and make them realize that it's their responsibility to make a change. Okay. Whose responsibility is it to make that change, brother? Is it mine? Is it your mom's? Is it yours? It's yours. It's mine. And then get them to sell themselves. Okay. So what's going to happen is you bridge it. You say, okay, based on what you told me, your problem is XYZ, your goal is XYZ. We can absolutely help you. Not we can maybe help you. No, we can absolutely help you. If it's appropriate, let me go ahead and build you a plan to help you get there, whatever. You give them 3 tangibles. Okay. So in terms of like, hey, we're going to help you do XYZ, depending on your offer, whether it's fitness, financial, whatever. And then based on everything we covered, do you feel like this actually could help you get your goal? Okay, cool. Why though? Let them sell themselves before you pitch the price. Pitch the price. And then that price is going to be a whole lot better feeling than the feeling that they are going to feel if they don't achieve their goal. And if they're scared, that's fine. That is completely reasonable. They just met you. So handle some objections if they're needed, but you have leverage now at this point in the call. You can actually use that pain that they have and use it against them. Not in a weird way, not in a bad way, but for their good. Give them their best interests. You're a doctor as a closer. So come to them and be like, hey, look, this is your pain. These are your symptoms. This is what you've been dealing with. I know you don't like needles. I know you don't like to take shots, but do you want to keep feeling the way that you are, or do you want to take this shot? Which one is it? So now you guys are starting to see why you want to build so much pain is to give you leverage. All right. So I hope you guys enjoyed that video. I know it was a longer one, but I hope you guys enjoyed. I know that it provided you guys some value, and I'm sure you guys learned a thing or two that you didn't already know. So if you guys liked the video, like it, just give it a thumbs up, give it a comment, give it a subscribe even if you want. But yeah, just want to give you guys as many free resources as possible so you guys can achieve your goals going into 2026. With that being said, I hope you guys have a great new year.